With voluntary OTAs officially underway, the Russell Wilson effect is on full display. Coming up on Broncos Weekend, we'll discuss how the expectations this team has for itself during these early practices could be vital for long-term success. How beneficial it is for this Denver defense to face a 9-time Pro Bowler in practice, and some of the biggest surprises from the NFLPA's rookie premiere. Broncos Weekend is next. Thanks for joining us for our Memorial Day weekend edition of Broncos Weekend, everyone. I'm Alexis Perry, happy to have the Hall of Famer Steve Atwater here alongside DNVR's Zach Stevens. Guys, week 1 of voluntary OTA started on Monday, and after the first practice, Russell Wilson took to the podium to share his mentality towards winning. In case you missed it, this is what he had to say.
You got to set the tone every day. There is no other option. If you want to win, you want to win it all. You want to be the best in the world as a team and everything else. There's no other option. So that's what we have to do, and it's a wild obsession every day. Get extra work before practice, after practice. Get extra work in the weight room, whatever. Take care of your mind and your body and your soul. It's a lifestyle. Winning's a lifestyle. It's bigger than just the ability to compete. It's also the ability to understand the habits of winning. There's habits that have to occur. There's no other option. I think that's what winners do, and that's what a winning football team does, and I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build right now in the midst of it all.
Russell Wilson is obsessed with being the best, and from all the players we heard from this week, as well as Coach Hackett, it is clear that he is raising the bar for everyone in the building, not just the offense. You guys have been entrenched with this team over the past few years, so you've been to OTAs, you've seen how it's been with previous staffs, previous players. How is this year different for the Denver Broncos, Steve?
Well, I would say, first of all, we don't have to worry about who the quarterback is. We're not going into the season
that nice?
quarterback competition wondering, is it going to be Drew Lock? Is it going to be Teddy Bridgewater? No, we got Russell Wilson, a 9-time Pro Bowler, guy who just uplifts everyone around him. And I think that's the biggest difference. And I would also say that some of the players may feel like they're in catch-up mode because they see what level Russell Wilson's on, and they want to get to that level, but it doesn't happen overnight. Russell Wilson's been doing what he's doing for years and years and years. It's the way that he is, but they're going to get there. They're going to get there. They're taking good notes. They're there with them, and he's a great mentor. And great things are coming this year.
It's fun. It's energetic.
So fun.
It's caffeinated.
That's right.
People are excited to be there. A big part because of Russ, but also Nathaniel Hackett, the juice he brings. You see guys celebrating after big plays, and that's not something you saw in OTAs in the past. Maybe you'd see it in a training camp practice or two, but the very first OTA practice was fun, and that's something that I just haven't seen. And I think that's a big credit to Nathaniel Hackett of making this a fun place to be.
Well, these are professional athletes, so we know that they love walking into the building as much as they like that it's fun, but they want to be challenged each and every day that they're here. So how do these expectations set this team up for long-term confidence? Zach?
Well, as we know, Russell Wilson said he comes in every day wanting to win, and that's bled over to the rest of the team. This past week, we talked to Cortland Sutton, who said winning's not the standard of winning. That's something that we can't fall below. We can't fall below those expectations. We know it, and that's something that they actually believe in now because they have Russell Wilson, and that having that quarterback gives you that confidence to say that. If they would have said that last year, probably would have been a little insincere, but now they believe that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They truly believe. When you don't have the quarterback in place, you do a lot of talking, you make it sound good, you make it sound believable, but there's something missing. Mm-hmm. But right now, we have that quarterback. I think they truly believe that they can win. We got a coach who's energetic. He does a great job of communicating with the players, with the media, with everyone in the building, with the other coaches, and they're really interested in teaching not only the game plan, but teaching the techniques, winning attitudes, everything about success they're teaching in that building.
Yeah, Zach, what does greater confidence actually look like?
Well, we heard it from Courtland Sutton. He mentioned Peyton Manning. Now, he wasn't around when Peyton was here, but Emmanuel and Demaryius Thomas were, and told Courtland about what those standards are like. And you do show up 15 minutes earlier. I'm sure when you're surrounded by a great quarterback, you do stay a little bit later, because the last thing you want to do is disappoint a Peyton Manning, a Russell Wilson, especially if you're an offensive guy, because the standards do change when you have a Hall of Fame type quarterback in the building.
And I think that, that just bleeds over, and then everyone starts making that the norm, to where, all the guys are showing up early, and, Russell Wilson doesn't necessarily have to do that. He doesn't have to be there to do that. Coach Hackett doesn't have to be there to pound that point home. When everyone accepts it as this is the way we do it, things are going to be better.
You mentioned Peyton Manning. Does this time and this vibe, this energy that you're feeling, does this really remind you of any other era in Broncos history, maybe one that you were a part of?
Oh, yeah. It definitely reminds me of the Shanahan era. We'd had some losing seasons, and when Mike came in the first year, we went 8-8, but there was an improvement. There was a ton of confidence in the building, and that next year we went 13-3. Didn't go to the Super Bowl because we lost to Jacksonville, unfortunately. But, just the energy that Mike Shanahan brought. Fortunately, we already had the quarterback there. John Elway was there already,
right,
but he built all the other pieces around that, bringing in other great players and coaches, to where we were a true team, and everyone believed.
And two of those things that were in common there: Hall of Fame quarterback with John Elway, a great safety in Steve Atwater, and then, of course, you had Peyton Manning here, and now another Hall of Fame quarterback, Russell Wilson. So to connect the dots, it's not that hard to do.
We all know that this Broncos team is going to have a tough schedule ahead. It's maybe one of the toughest in the league. I think some fans are trying to temper their expectations a little bit. They don't want to get too high on the team, but given the focus and the dedication and really the effort we're seeing from this group, can this fan base expect greatness right away?
Well, they're going to expect it regardless.
I feel like
we
I've
know
talked to
Broncos
some folks who are
country.
tempering.
They know they're going to expect things to be great. We have the quarterback. We have such an energetic coach. We have Bradley Chubb, Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. We have all the guys in place. Now they're expecting great things to happen right from the start. And taking a look at our schedule, we can get off to a good start, but there are going to be some difficult games even in the first half of the season. But I think the tougher part will be after that bye week. But Broncos country is always expecting greatness, and I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised.
And the AFC West is so tough. We know that. That's what's going to make this year a big challenge, especially the back end of that season, Steve. But they have Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson has made the playoffs 8 of his 10 seasons. He's had a winning record 9 of his 10 seasons. The only season he didn't have a winning record was when he didn't play every single game, and that was last year. So every single season that Russell Wilson has played every game, he's had a winning record.
So you just got to keep him on the field.
Just got to keep him on the field. Right. Let's go, boys. Well, either way, this team knows it has a lot of work to do, but also has the highest expectations for themselves, and that's really all Broncos country could really ask for. But still to come here on Broncos Weekend, some of the best examples of how all of these players are making each other better during OTAs. Don't go anywhere.
The greatest achievement for me would be my football career.
One man anchored the greatest defense Denver has ever seen.
Randy was a playmaker. Randy was very smart.
Hear his story.
I believe I was blessed with an athletic ability.
Experience his career.
That guy's absolutely a Hall of Famer.
It's a travesty that he's not in. It just is.
Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush. Premieres June 28th on Denver 7.
Welcome back to Broncos Weekend. Alexis Perry here alongside Steve Atwater and Zach Stevens. Guys, it has been an exciting week seeing this Broncos team on the field during voluntary OTAs. And even though these guys are not in full pads, there is no shortage of competition and smack talk as the offense and defense are finally able to go up against each other. Let's actually start with Ejiro Evero's defense. Similar to Coach Fangio's, but like Justin Simmons said, there are going to be some things that are different this year. So how does Ejiro Evero take a defense that was good in 2021 and make them great in 2022?
Well, I think there's two things that are going to be different. You're going to see a lot more dime and nickel played, which is going to put a lot more playmakers on the field. Just specifically in the secondary, you're going to see a lot more Caden Stearns, and Caden Stearns was one of the most efficient players in the NFL last year. Bringing him on the field is going to bring a playmaker. And then something else, you're going to see a lot more blitzing, and that is going to potentially create more turnovers. And you're going to see a lot of different formations. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bradley Chubb line up on the defensive line and then also have Nick Bonito with him. Maybe Baron Browning's lining up at inside linebacker to blitz from that. So I think you're going to see a lot of creativity with this defense.
Yeah, and I think that the players are going to be super excited. Not that they weren't excited the last couple of years, but I think when a defense is able to bring pressure and guys feel like they're going to have a chance to get to the quarterback, get their hands on some balls and intercept passes because they're rushed, the quarterback is being rushed, I think they tend to get hyped up a little bit knowing that, hey, I got an opportunity to make some plays.
I know it's early in OTAs, but what are some of the ways that we've seen this defense already bring out the best in this Broncos offense?
Well, I'll just say in practice with the disguises that they're doing, with the pressure that's coming on Russell Wilson and that offensive line. Obviously, they don't have on pads at this time, but once they get on pads, they'll be just that much better. You know, just seeing all the different looks and the competition and the fun that they're having, I think is going to make both sides of the ball better.
Well, 100% what Steve said about pressuring this offense, and you're thinking, wait, how's that good for the offense? But this offense is going to be a lot of Russ scrambling, and the offense has to get used to that, and they're already getting used to it. It's not the best thing that the defense is getting so much pressure, but Russ is moving around, and then that's allowing his receivers to understand how to scramble, because Cortland Sutton told us this week the play starts again once Russ leaves the pocket, and that's a whole new adjustment.
And we've seen the Kansas City Chiefs do that the last several years, and they've been really good at that, and we got to become great at that as well.
Patrick Mahomes is so good at getting out of the pocket and so hard to tackle. The Broncos haven't been practicing against that for years, and now they finally get to practice against a guy like that, so that's going to help them understand how to contain a scrambling quarterback. And it's not just one game that they get to go up against Russ. They get to go up in so many practices leading up to that Week 14 game against Kansas City.
Yeah, and when Russ comes out of the huddle, sometimes he'll come up at the regular pace. Other times he'll speed up to the line of scrimmage and make the defense have to hurry up and get set. And it'll make them be more prepared for offenses that run the hurry-up offense. And, you know, and many times the offense is trying to just get the defense to show what they're doing. Yeah. And then they'll slow it down and really just kind of pick you apart because now you've shown your hand. So that's going to help in that regard with the defense, playing against Russ when he has different tempos in terms of when the play is started.
And during Monday's OTA practice, the offense was scoring so many touchdowns, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this is incredible. But it's just because we haven't seen that against this defense. The defense hasn't been that challenged in the offseason in years past. This division is built on quarterbacks, wide receivers, and then getting after the quarterbacks. And the Broncos are 6 deep at outside linebacker, and then you include Draymond Jones, DJ Jones. Those guys can get to the quarterback, and that's going to help this offense and defense get better.
Okay, like we've mentioned, these guys are out there in shorts. So the level of competition, as much as they're bringing the energy, they're not really bringing the physicality quite yet. But who are some guys who have really stood out to you throughout this week, Zach?
So far, Greg Dulcich. He's caught my eye. He really has. I mean, not just the short shorts and the long hair, but I'm surprised that he already looks like an NFL tight end right now. Now, he has a ways to go in blocking. I'm sure when the pads come on, we'll see that. But as a receiver, he's a lot more polished. And I think he's really going to dominate from about 5 to 15 yards. And we already saw him get in the end zone on Monday's OTA practice.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. He looks smooth. He looks like he's been in this offense already. But my guy is Damari Mathis, the cornerback out of Pitt. I thought he was slimmer than he actually is. He has a nice build to his body, big, strong legs. I think he's going to be a physical corner that's going to play a part in this defense this year.
For me, it was PJ Locke. I think he was a guy who, obviously we're expecting big things from, of course, but with Kareem Jackson not here this week, I think he really stood out. He made some really good plays there during that red zone period.
That play in front of Cortland Sutton was great. He came out of nowhere. Cortland said, I thought I was wide open, and then just a white flash came in front of me.
Well, you mentioned Greg Dulcich. He has impressed since the moment he arrived in Denver, but had he impressed the NFLPA to be named to its coveted rookie premier class? We will delve into that after the break.
He's the biggest prankster I ever run into in my life.
Sometimes you felt like the butt of the jokes.
He would unscrew the shower head,
spray an icy hot product into the undergarment.
You start feeling this heat.
I certainly said, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do that.
Grabbed the snake real quick, held it up in his face, and I go, the prank's over?
Pretty special time for me.
Randy Gradishar, the heart and soul of the Orange Crush, premieres June 28th on Denver 7.
Thanks for sticking with us for this final segment of Broncos Weekend. Each year, the NFL Players Association selects 40 of the league's brightest new stars and brings them together for their first major marketing event post-draft. The photos are iconic, and there's no doubt every first-year player hopes to be selected, but surprisingly, not a single Broncos rookie was invited. You guys, given the value that this team got with Nick Bonito and Greg Dulcich, these are guys that could have been first-rounders if this wasn't a super senior class. Were you surprised that the Broncos were snubbed?
Yeah, but for me, when people say they should have been a first rounder, should have been this or that.
They could have been.
Who knows? Because I've seen guys who were first rounders, when you look at it, when it's all said and done, they shouldn't have even been drafted. And other guys who should have been first round, they were, free agents. So I think that determination, we got to wait a little longer to decide if a guy should have been picked at a certain place or if he deserves a certain award. I think after they play some games and, kind of proving themselves at this level.
That's why you're here, Steve. What insight? That's why you're here. Zach, what do you
Fortunately, I think right when he was picked at 64, he was already off the table for being selected to this. At the final pick in the second round, I don't think that says anything about who he is as a player. It just has to say that, okay, you're the last pick in the second round. We're not going to invite you.
Well, there were guys who were late draft picks as well as an undrafted guy too. So I was a little confused by that. But now that you've seen this rookie class integrated with the veterans, what are your overall impressions?
Well, I'm very impressed, especially Dulcich and Nick Bonito. Both of those guys look like they belong at this level.
Yeah.
Now we don't have any pads on right now, and again, I told you from past years, I've seen guys who look like Tarzan, but then once you get the pads on, they play like Jane. So I'm hoping that that's not the case with these guys, and I don't think it will be. I know that the scouting staff and George Payton, they've done a great job of uncovering these guys, and they'll be able to contribute this year. But again, I hold my judgment until I see them in training camp.
I have never heard you say that, and I'm stealing that line.
It's amazing. You can tell that he was a hard hitter when he played because he likes the pads on. And I completely agree. In fact, the way I view this class right now, Greg Dulcich seems to have been the first pick in this draft from the Broncos just because of how he looks the part already. And Nick Bonito, the talent is there with the pass rush, but he's still going to take a little bit of time. So I expect as of right now for Greg Dulcich to have that biggest role come week one.
He did have a Tuggalicious, as
yes,
Hackett called it on day one, which was so impressive to the point where Hackett and Russell Wilson mentioned it post-practice. I think most people figure that Albert O would just slide right into that Noah Fant starting role, and Greg Dulcich would fight to kind of be a rotational guy. But is there a chance that this is now going to be one of the most exciting position battles to watch?
I think it can get to that, but I think right now it's Albert O's position to lose.
He is pessimistic
today. No. But I do like Dulcich. I like the way he's looked. I like his hands. I like his swagger. I like all of that. But I just need to see it with pads on.
Okay, he needs to see it with pads.
I'm a little afraid to disagree with Steve here right next to me, but I think that Greg Dulcich is going to get this job because when the coaches talk about him, they talk about how he's an all-around tight end. And they said that's the unique part about him is that he's an all-around tight end. So that tells me that they don't think Alberto's that blocker yet. Now, I hope they use Alberto in a way because he can be so dangerous with that 4.49 40 speed from the tight end position. But right now, crazy enough, I think it's the rookies to win.
I think it's a good problem to have, though. You got two really good players who are going to battle it out, and the best player is going to be out there on the field. And I think that Coach Hackett and the rest of the staff, they'll do a great job of figuring out who the best player is for this particular offensive scheme. And hey, it's going to be fun to watch.
I think it'd be really fun to see both these guys on the field at the same
Oh
time.
yeah, we'll
that
see
could
a
be
lot of that too.
dynamic.
We'll see a lot of that too.
I love that. Well, all eyes are also on Nick Benito as well. I think he really is a star in the making. But what does he need to prove throughout OTAs and training camp to really keep himself in the conversation?
Well, he needs to be an all-around player. And one of the things when you watch the film at Oklahoma, it's crazy to say, but his jump off the line really reminds me of Von Miller. And that is elite talent right there. And that's why he could have been a first-round pick. But he needs to become an all-around player and really bulk up to be that run defender.
Yeah, and you just never know when he'll be needed. If for some reason Randy Gregory doesn't get back because of some type of setback, he will be counted on and looked at to step in and play a role there. So he'll need to be ready once training camp gets here to go full tilt just like everyone else. I think he's going to be good, but again, we'll see.
All right, Zach, last one for you. Any other rookies who have really stood out?
Montrell Washington. Maybe it's just because I'm a small guy, but Montrell, we knew he was going to be a returner for this team. But man, he brings a very dynamic ability as a wide receiver. And on Monday, we saw him already being used in the offense, not just as a deep threat, but from 5 to 10 yards. And I think that's where he can really grow.
I am so sad that there is just never enough time with you guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, AP.
All right, to all of you at home, have a safe Memorial Day weekend as we take some time to remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And from all of us here on the desk and behind the scenes, thank you so much for watching Broncos Weekend. We'll see you next time.